Where Josh Allen is getting criticized from the most shady but fruitful of sources, an anonymous NFL executive. Via Jeremy Fowler's yearly survey, one of the most overrated players in the NFL is Josh Allen. Immense talent, but he makes a lot of mistakes. He's underdeveloped at winning at the line of scrimmage, tends to lock on to targets, more of a thrower than precision passer, and forces throws into traffic. Your reaction?
Who said this, Wilds?
An anonymous NFL executive.
I have a confession, guys. I'm also an NFL executive. All right, so here's the thing. Obviously, Josh Allen's a very good player. And obviously, what this NFL executive is saying is true. Which is why I found so galling when I was looking up some Josh Allen numbers, because I want to be precise on this. You know, sometimes like clips from shows like ours play on the websites where they have the stats, like auto plays or whatever. And I saw my pal Dan Orlovsky call this guy an idiot.
Yes. And
it said, it's guy's an idiot. And then Dan went on to make things up. But what he said has just become like canon of the Josh Allen story, but they're lies.
Oh.
I heard he's 2 or 3 plays away from being in multiple Super Bowls. What are the plays? Tell me. Tell me the 2 or 3 plays that put Josh Allen in a Super Bowl. Because I can go through the career. First year in the playoffs, you lost in round 1. So do we all agree you weren't 2 or 3 plays away that year? Okay, so that's not it.
Maybe.
Your next year in the playoffs, you were in the AFC title game, down by 3 scores in the fourth quarter and lost by 14. So do we agree you weren't 2 or 3 plays away that year? Then next year is the famous 13 seconds game, which happened in round 2. So if 2 or 3 plays go differently that game, then you are 2 or 3 plays and a whole football game at home against Cincinnati, who you would never lose a home game to Cincinnati, except the next year in round 2, you lost a home game to Cincinnati. The next thing I heard Dan and others say is, last year, he's a missed field goal away from being in the Super Bowl. No, you were a missed field goal away from tying up a game in round 2. That if you had then won, you would have gotten the opportunity to go to Baltimore. So someone just be okay with the honesty, which is physically, A+, arm talent, A+, career accomplishment, B, performance in the biggest games of his career, up and down. That's what he's been. And if we show you, Brew, throw out his first year, not fair, it's his rookie year, throw out his second year when he kind of turned the page. How has he been just as a passer since he became an MVP candidate? The answer is, all right, who cares about year 1, 32nd? This is a rookie year. Okay, since that MVP level year when he was 4th, middle of the pack. How has he been as far as turning the ball over? Well, since the beginning of his career. Most INTs since. Thank God they trotted Sam Howell out there 17 games last year, or else it would be his name across the board. So he is a wildly talented, flawed player, which is what this NFL exec said, and guys get called idiots for that because they don't want to do fan fiction on what the playoffs have been. So I agree with the guy.
Here's where, look, he got 1 vote of the 74, 75 people that Fowler talked to for best quarterback on earth.
Yeah, and he got MVP votes last year, first place.
And there is chatter generally going into every season. There's a little bit of chatter, it's probably less this year, but a little bit of chatter that he's like right there with Mahomes. So for those that think that, the guy that voted him the best quarterback in the league, those that think he's equal to Patrick Mahomes, if not better, they overrate him. But overall, I don't think he's overrated. He's ranked 3rd on the poll. I could argue he could be 2nd. You could argue he could be 4th if you put Lamar and Burrow ahead of him. So I think he's where he's, as long as you know, he's not Patrick Mahomes. That's his biggest problem. Now, he is reckless, but the physical attributes kind of make up for that. And you showed, of course, the turnovers. I've said it before. He doesn't have the MVPs yet. but I've said he's this generation's Brett Favre. He doesn't have a Super Bowl either. But look at this, Nick. Yes, he makes a lot of turnovers. He's got the most TDs since 2019 by a mile. We're watching the best quarterback we've ever seen, and he's got 23 more.
And he's got the most touchdowns in that window of all time by a wide margin. This is not just even, this isn't even just for current athletes, current quarterbacks. So that needs to be said. Like, what he's done is truly historic.
Touchdowns to him, and then everybody else, I mean, it's 50 plus more.
There are a decent amount of Super Bowls on there, but most of them have been won by.
But
Mahomes and Russ a decade plus ago.
No, yeah, they're all.
So I'm just saying he's a productive quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He has taken a franchise that had made the playoffs before he got there one time in the last 19 years, and now they're a perennial playoff team and contender.
Wait a second. Wait,
so I'm saying the dude is on a Hall of Fame trajectory.
Okay, well that's too
He's
far.
not on a Hall of Fame trajectory?
If you show me
Does he have to win a Super Bowl to be a
Hall of Fame quarterback with 0 league MVPs and 0 Super Bowls other than Dan Fouts, then I'll listen to it, but I don't think it exists. I don't think there's one.
Dan Fouts.
I said other than Dan
but
Fouts.
that's one.
Okay.
This dude every year is a top 5 quarterback for his career.
Okay.
He's on Hall of Fame.
So here's my gripe with.
And nobody sans Mahomes has nobody besides Mahomes this young in the league right now.
Okay, this is the end of the clip. This is insane. This is absolutely insane, and this is what drives me crazy about Nick. He goes on this whole crazy rant. Again, and I've said this the other day then who is Patrick Mahomes beating then? Why are you acting that Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback if he's not even beating Hall of Fame great quarterbacks in the Super Bowl or along the way to get to the Super Bowl? Please tell me that. Because Nick doesn't think that Joe Burrow's a Hall of Famer then. He doesn't think that Josh Allen's a Hall of Famer. He doesn't think Tua's a Hall of Famer. He doesn't think Hurts is a Hall of Famer. He doesn't think Purdy's a Hall of Famer. He doesn't think Garoppolo's a Hall of Famer. Who is he beating then? Who is Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs beating then? Because if you think that all these quarterbacks are not that great, then you have to admit that Patrick Mahomes is having the easiest path to a career, Hall of Fame career, than any other quarterback. Because we know Tom Brady actually beat Hall of Famers. He beat all-time greats like Peyton Manning, like Patrick Mahomes. So it's like, what are we talking about here then? Then the only Hall of Famer that Patrick Mahomes has had to face, he has lost to Tom Brady. I mean, it's just insane to me. He wants to constantly bring down these quarterbacks, especially Josh Allen, and acts like they're just nothing. Josh Allen has had to do more with less relative to Patrick Mahomes, and it's not even close. I think Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks of all time, without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. And if you had to pick, I would say that Patrick Mahomes is better quarterback than a Josh Allen. But that's not to say that Patrick Mahomes hasn't been given massive gifts by being drafted to the Kansas City Chiefs. It's unbelievable that he wants to hold Josh Allen's feet to the fire when the Bills have been nothing until Josh Allen. And now they are everything. Yes, he turns the ball over. He's had multiple offensive coordinators. Stop acting like that Josh Allen has this stacked roster with stacked offensive weapons relative to what Patrick Mahomes has. Patrick Mahomes has Andy Reid. That alone is insane. He's got the greatest offensive coach of all time, no question about it. You think that doesn't benefit Patrick Mahomes? Of course it does. Who does Josh Allen have? Sean McDermott. Really? Really? Even if you want to say, well, if Andy Reid wasn't that good of a coach till Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid is a Hall of Famer regardless. No question about it. Is Sean McDermott a Hall of Famer? Yes or no? The answer is no. You think that doesn't benefit Patrick Mahomes? You think it doesn't benefit to have Patrick Mahomes to have Travis Kelce? First, second, or third all-time greatest tight end of all time? You think it doesn't benefit him? Like, what are we talking about here? I feel like we have to keep repeating these talking points again and again and again, because someone like Nick Wright wants to just bash and go on an insane rant railing against Josh Allen for his lack of success. Do you really think Patrick Mahomes would be winning Super Bowls if he was with the Buffalo Bills with multiple coordinators? The answer is an emphatic no. It is a 1,000% 1,000% no. But again, it's hilarious to me that he wants to bash these quarterbacks because he says Lamar Jackson is an overrated quarterback and not good and can't compete in the playoffs. Well, Patrick Mahomes beat him, so again, not that impressive. He says Tua is not a good quarterback, bottom 15 quarterback. Congratulations, he beat him. He says Josh Allen is grossly overrated and just a good quarterback, not a great quarterback, is essentially what he was saying. Okay, so then it's not impressive that he beat him either. Like, what do we say? You think we know that he doesn't like Brock Purdy, that he thinks Brock Purdy is like a bottom 15 quarterback? That means this entire Super Bowl run was not impressive at all. And we could say the same thing then for previous years as well. So it's just comical to me. He's doing himself a disservice when he wants to make the argument that Patrick Mahomes is the best, that he is the GOAT. Because then you want to say he's beating these amazing quarterbacks. But it's not that impressive to beat non-Hall of Fame quarterbacks on historically bad franchises. That's not that impressive then. It's not. Especially if you want to compare it to what Tom Brady had to do. Tom Brady had to slay some serious dragons. He had to beat Patrick Mahomes. So it's just insane to me. It's really, really insane why he wouldn't want to talk up those players. It's like you're hurting your own self. Who are you beating then that's impressive then? If the Bills aren't impressive, if the Ravens aren't impressive, if the Dolphins aren't impressive, if the Eagles aren't impressive, if the 49ers aren't impressive, like who are you beating then? It's just nonsense. It's just I don't understand what people don't understand about Josh Allen. They want to now talk up his team. Like that his team has been great. Diggs and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And top defenses. Yeah, this. And it's like, if we're going to talk up the Bills team, then how could we not talk up the Chiefs team? Like, what are we talking about here? We all of a sudden want to act like it's so funny. They want to act like the Bills have this great team and they want to use the stats and the record to prove that. But then they want to act like the Chiefs are not a top level team with or without Mahomes, like in terms of like the roster construction and coaching. Like it just doesn't make sense. They want to act like Mahomes makes all those players. He somehow makes them have an elite defense. He somehow made Tyreek Hill be like the fastest, wide receiver ever. He somehow made Travis Kelce this great. And they want to say, well, listen, who were they before Patrick Mahomes? Guys, that is a false equivalence. You can only be so good. If your quarterback is not good, you can only do so much. There is a barrier to entry here. But to act like Travis Kelce wouldn't be an all-time great tight end if he played with Josh Allen, if he played in a Shanahan offense, if he had Tom Brady as like what are we saying here? Like you still need to have great players around you to do great things, as proof as we saw Patrick Mahomes' numbers go down when he didn't have as great of assets around him. And I argued they were still great team. There were still great players around him. You still had Andy Reid. You still had Travis Kelce. Nick Wright keeps calling Rashee Rice Jerry Rice. So obviously he thinks he's a good wide receiver. He thinks Pacheco is one of the best running backs. So what are we saying? So then what is the reality? Did Patrick Mahomes have good offensive weapons last season or not? Yes or no? Because if the answer is yes, then why did his numbers go down? Josh Allen is forced to make something out of nothing consistently. Josh Allen has to be Josh Allen just to give the Bills a chance. Just to give them a chance. With Patrick Mahomes, the team is good enough that they give Patrick Mahomes a chance to be Patrick Mahomes, to bring them over, to get them over the hump. Patrick Mahomes needs to be Patrick Mahomes to get the Chiefs over the hump and to win all those games. But there is a difference. Listen to what I'm saying. Patrick Mahomes doesn't need to be Patrick Mahomes just to give the Chiefs a chance. The Chiefs give Patrick Mahomes a chance to be himself so then they can then win the Super Bowl. But with the Bills, Josh Allen has to do everything he can just to give them a chance. That's a massive difference. The Bills are just not good enough for Josh Allen. And it just can't be any clearer than that. What do you want him to do with a bad head coach who's not an offensive-minded head coach, and then a revolving door of offensive coordinators? And you want to compare that to Patrick Mahomes, who's had Andy Reid, Andy Reid, Andy Reid, Andy Reid. Andy Reid nearly won a Super Bowl with a non-Hall of Fame quarterback, which is statistically brutal to do. The vast majority, 80-some% of Super Bowls are won by Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And yet Andy Reid almost did it with Donovan McNabb against the New England Patriots, the dynasty of the New England Patriots. Do you know how impressive that is? How he was able to win 4 straight divisions with a ragtag group of wide receivers and minimal offensive weapons? It is insane what Andy Reid has been able to do. Insane. He was already a top 10 coach of all time just with the Eagles alone. He is a brilliant coach. Brilliant. And they want to say, in service of elevating Patrick Mahomes, they constantly want to bring down Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. I mean, it's just getting so old at this point. It really is. Patrick Mahomes has not had to do as much relative to what Josh Allen has had to do. It's not to say that Patrick Mahomes is not great. It's not to say that Patrick Mahomes isn't on pace to become the true, undisputed GOAT. Both things can be true. Tom Brady was given an amazing situation, going against the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets. Organizations that have just done nothing for years and years and years and years and years. Having Bill Belichick as his head coach, being able to play in a league where defense, where teams were really defensively driven and defense could really truly win you Super Bowls. He got to do that and play in that era when you had that best defensive head coach in the history of the NFL. You don't think that helps Tom Brady? Of course it does. Of course it does. So we can say that, and we can say similar things about Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Does Patrick Mahomes have all these Super Bowls if he was playing for the New York Giants? No. The Washington Commanders? No. The Baltimore Ravens? No. The Cincinnati Bengals? No. The Buffalo Bills? No. The Miami Dolphins? No. The New York Jets? No. The Philadelphia Eagles? No. I'm trying to just name other top teams. Maybe the only other top team you could say, the 49ers, because of that roster and Shanahan. But even if he was with McVay and the Rams, he's not winning as many Super Bowls just because of the roster alone. He is with the perfect situation, with the perfect pieces, with the perfect coach. And when his offense isn't fully there, and Travis Kelce is getting a little old, and maybe his wide receivers are getting a little questionable, well, good golly, Miss Molly, he's got the #1 defense in the NFL. You think that helped him out a little bit? Obviously. If Patrick Mahomes even just had a 9th or 8th or 10th defense, they don't win the Super Bowl. So it's just unbelievable that we want to nickel and dime every little thing that Josh Allen does, but then we don't want to point out any of the benefits that Patrick Mahomes has had. Apparently, he's just done it himself with a JV Pee-wee team. You know, he's playing with apparently just a bunch of kids right out of high school, and yet he's somehow just winning. Apparently, that's what he's doing. That's what Nick wants to make you believe. And that's my biggest issue with Nick and just Kansas City Chiefs fans as a whole. Because then you guys will interpret this and make it sound like I'm saying that Patrick Mahomes isn't good or this, that, and it's just nonsense. We're not actually having real accurate conversations with regards to Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes at this point. We really don't. And to me, it just gets so old. I mean, Nick was furious there. Genuinely. I don't think that was pretend. It drives him insane that people even want to remotely compliment Josh Allen or put him in the same conversation as Patrick Mahomes. It drives him crazy. They are in the same conversation. They are in the same tier. Josh Allen would have multiple Super Bowls if he was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. No question about it. And if you doubt that, then that's comically hilarious to me. It really is. Then apparently Andy Reid and all the other guys are just not that good. And it really is just nobody but Patrick Mahomes. And to that, I will say that you are delusional. You are confused if you think that that's the reality, because it's just not. It's just not. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think that Josh Allen is indeed overrated? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.